minns ju den tid du gav mig life billar yo. Nu vill jag kunna ge tillbaka allt jag inte kunna ge förut. Det finns ju ingen annan där som kan stå här by my side, oh why. Sättet du rör på det får mig att dö för det baby. För de här yardis, de vill ju bara dra ner oss. Men du är fett och vanlig. Och det jag lägger all min tid och jag vill ha det. Du får mig känna safety. Jag kan nog leda baby. Och jag kommer aldrig ändra mig. Aldrig.
All right. Peace. Can y'all hear me?
Yeah, we got you right there.
Man. I hope it can hang. You know, these technical difficulties happen, but greetings out there. Welcome back to another episode of what? The Gullah House Show. Here with Cuz and Cuz. How y'all doing over there, Orangeburg?
What's up?
All is well here, man. We got a little rain here on Mother's Day. Today is Mother's Day. We want to shout out all the mothers here and from Orangeburg to Sierra Leone. Happy Mother's Day to each and every one of y'all.
Yeah, man, absolutely. Don, what's going on, man?
Man, chilling. Got a light drizzle and stuff, man. About to do some things for my mom and grandmas, man. You know, hey.
Yeah, man. So, who we got today, y'all? Baba Kimo, you went and got a heavy hitter for us today. A brother who has decades in the struggle dealing with the psychological and spiritual healing of our people, providing cultural heritage information, and even artwork and supplies to the people. We got to bring your guest out. What you think about it? Who we bring?
You can bring him out anytime. He's a brother. I've been to his shop there in Colombia a couple of times. He has a shop here. He's been in the community for a long time. He works with our good friend, Baba Amin. He's well known in Colombia. And hey, the brother is solid, man. I follow his podcast and everything. He's a strong brother. His name is, I hope I say his name right. He can correct me. It's Ruttaskhi, I believe. Baba Ruttaskhi from the House of Hathor.
Yeah, man. So with no further ado, we're going to bring Baba out and just chop it up real good, man. Hopefully, for those who don't know Baba, you guys will get get at least a general introduction of who the man is, what he provides in the community, and how we can connect and work with this brother. All right. So with no further ado, here you go. I call him Baba Aba.
Yes. How you doing? Peace and power to you all.
I'm Peace good, African. How are you?
Everything is good. Got a little rain here, but that's a cleansing that's taking place, so it's always good.
Yeah, man. As we tell everybody, man, these shows ain't really about us, man. We just like to be part of the process of platforming those who actually have something good to say, some legitimate work in the community, and just put people in contact with those who are serving the people.
Yes.
So first of all, we want to appreciate you as a servant of the people, and give you opportunity to introduce yourself. For those who don't know you, who are you and what do you do, brother?
Okay. Well, my name is Baba Ruttaskhi Aakhu Aba. My wife and I, Netra Makanut Banu Kafa Ab, we are the servants of the ancestors here in this temple, this store, this cultural arts center. It was given to us by the ancestors that we have to be a true pillar in our community from a cultural standpoint, from a spiritual standpoint, that we're supplying them with the tools, with the counsel, as well as with the love and the respect that we have for not only our ancestors, but for our family and our community. And it was important enough for us to make sure that we have something that we can give to our people in our community, and that they can always come to us. This can be a place where they can find peace, love, family, unity. And we're just happy to make sure that we keep our doors open for the community.
I say so. Before anybody else goes, the name of your shop, the name of your building, the name of your institution, the House of Hathor.
Yes.
Can you elaborate on that? Can you give us some information on that?
Well, actually, I'll say this: everything that I think, everything that I speak, and everything that I do is based on the Spirit. And so when the Spirit comes to me and it tells me exactly why the House of Hathor is going to be named that, it's in reflection of my wife. You know, my wife is the one that she's the foundation for our family. She's the foundation for everything that exists within our store. You know, my specific intention and goal here at our temple is to make sure that I'm cleansing it, to make sure that the spirit of the ancestors is always involved in all that we do, and to make sure that I'm a true representation of them. And my wife does the same thing, but it is my job every day to make sure that that is the intention that's placed on this cultural arts center, this temple. So when people walk in, they feel at home, they feel at peace, they know that they're protected by the Spirit, and they can be themselves, because everybody that walks through that door, your ancestors come in with you. And this is the place where the ancestors dwell. So this is why, and this is what we wanted to create, so that it's a pleasant atmosphere and people can feel good about themselves when they come in.
I say.
Love that.
Baba Kimo, you've been to the shop, right? You've been up there to the temple.
Yes, yes, I have. I was just telling him, I probably met him maybe about a year ago at the shop. I've been to the shop a few times. He's got a lot of great Afrocentric products and books and oils and all that type. He got everything in the shop, man. I love it, man. My wife, we got some good things out of his shop. But I was gonna ask you, Baba, since today is Mother's Day and we're honoring mothers and everything, and my mother raised me in an Afrocentric environment. You know, I had just made a post about her this morning, coming up from Claflin University and being involved with different things in the 60s and all that. How important was your mother's influence or your parents' influence on you?
Oh wow!
Where you at today?
Well, my father was he transitioned out of Vietnam, so you know at an early age, you know, didn't I knew my father, I know his spirit, but I didn't have the opportunity to really get to know him because he was taken away at when I was 6 years old. And so my father's family is from Greensboro, North Carolina. My mother is actually from Sumter, South Carolina.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Good. That's home. Okay. That's home base for me and Dominique right there. We got some ancestors from Sumter. My paternal line came from Sumter, South Carolina.
Okay. Yeah. And so, you know, so many times, and I found this out after my mom transitioned, there are some things that my mother knew from a cultural standpoint and from a spiritual standpoint that I did not know that she knew. You know, and so many of our, you know, because of the trauma that we've been through for hundreds of years, they did not feed us what they knew growing up. And so I found out that my mom knew some things that she did not share with us before her transitioning. And so once I found those things out, you know, I knew that that just gave me more grounding as to know that I'm on the right path of what I'm doing. You know, and so my wife and my wife is the same way. And when you hear me speak, I'm going to speak a lot about my wife because there is no me without her. I found out through a reading that had taken place that my wife and I have always been together through past lifetimes.
Wow.
And so and because I've known my wife over 55 years. And so for us to know each other that long, from 6 years old all the way up to now, you know, it just finalizes everything as to know that we're always on that right path, and the things that we're doing represents everything that has been given to us. And so, you know, and so we're always honoring our ancestors. That's one of the other things that the ancestors brought to me, to make sure that I pour libation every day in honoring and acknowledging them, and then teaching others about pouring libation. That's one of the major things that we do here in our, you know, in this temple, is that we do libation every day in our store.
I can attest to that because I see you all. That's where I know you from pouring your libations and giving that honor and respect. You do it every day, and I know that's important to you, and it's important to recognize that part of our African identity.
Yes,
pouring libations and everything. So speak on that, brother. Go ahead and teach us.
Well, what I've read a lot of books. But I'm at a point now in my life where the ancestors came to me and they told me they don't want me to read any more books. Everything that they're going to give to me, they're going to give it through the Spirit. Because there are certain things that are designed just for me, and there's not a book that can teach me about me. That only comes through spirit and ancestry. So every book that I read from this point on, they say it will be from someone else's perspective, not from the perspective of my ancestors. And so they want me to make sure that I'm very purposeful and intentful in everything that I do. So even when I'm teaching others, I'm only teaching them my perspective. But I'm also opening a pathway and a purpose for them to learn their way through their own ancestry.
Absolutely.
And so that is one of the major purposes of this story, is to teach people that it's not, I don't have any special spiritual energy or power that I can do anything for them. We teach them that you have to harness your own energy, your own power, your own strength, your own spirituality based on your ancestry. So you shouldn't have to go to anyone to teach you about you. You have to trust in your own self-identity and your self-intention as well as purpose through your spirit.
Absolutely.
That is the only thing. That is the only thing that we have that gives us everything that we need. Now, others guide you. Others can be an instrument or a tool to guide you, but it still comes down to the fact that you have to rely on
do that work.
Spirit. That's right. You got to
be you.
Yes,
it got to be you.
Yes.
You know, brother, I really appreciate that focus, because for me in my personal life, it's like religion. My religious experience was designed to take me away from that.
Right.
The whole religious experience that I can remember was designed to take me away from self-reliance, take me away from interconnecting with my ancestry.
That's right.
And knowing where I come from and drawing from that. I always had to be provoked to go outside of myself, go to some alien something invisible, something that I can't touch, something that's not related to me.
That's right.
And so I really appreciate what you're saying in terms of focusing not only the belief, but the daily practice on the ancestors and remembering them and commemorating them. You also spoke.
Well, I'll take it. I'll pick up from there, brother. Because you talk in our language when you talk lineage restoration.
That is,
and that's what you're talking about. Like, I have an altar here in my house. How important is it to have an altar in your home to give respect to the ancestors?
Yeah.
That's Jay.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, we hear you.
Yeah, you can hear you.
All right, good. So Baba, what I was saying was that the aspect of divination, how important is divination? Like, can you go into that? Because myself, I've been into divination and going to that source for maybe about 20, 25 years of my life, right?
Right.
Different sources, different authorities that know how to tap into that aspect of who we are.
Right.
And how do we apply it? Because as Gullahs, we are very passionate about hoodoo.
Yes.
We're very passionate about that free-flowing form of spirituality that don't have any dictator. That free-flowing form of spirituality that is all about our ancestors. Altar work, libation, divination, you know, the power of the spirit of things. Like, for instance, I see you have some very powerful masks behind you right now.
Yeah.
And here that means something. The mask holds spirit, the wood holds spirit, the design expresses spirit. It all has meaning.
Yes.
And so can you elaborate a little bit about divination? Because I come from a spiritual tradition where you just go to God, where you just pray, and that's it. And today, because, you know, along with my cousin Chemo, we're always focusing on genetic genealogy, utilizing DNA now.
Yes.
Also, utilizing the science that's available. to give us a broader understanding. I can name more ancestors than ever before because of DNA testing.
Yes.
And it brings us closer to find the documentation and see, oh man, you died like that. Okay, you had this many children. Okay, you died on this day. You was born on this day. That brings us closer because now I can venerate on those days. I can come close to those ancestors at those times.
Yes.
Can you talk about the aspect of divination within the African American community? That's what I want to hear about.
In the African American community, it's different because our pathway has been different here in the Americas. I've seen several different types of divinations being done. And all of them are justified, all of them are truths. But when you start talking about your own specific divination, there's a way. For me, it has always been actually through libation. So when I call upon my ancestors, doing libation, visions come to me, spirit comes to me, and even the words, the order of words even change through spirit when I'm doing libation. So the ancestors used me to write a book called Libation, Liberation, Lifestyle. That book was written about 1.5 years ago. And it took me about 15 years for that book, for me to get what the ancestors wanted me to write in that book. And I never thought that I would be able to write a book. But when the ancestors gave me the authority to do so, they were very specific as to what they wanted me to do. And each time that I did libation, it became the divination for me to be able to write that book. So the first thing they told me to do was make sure that you go on Facebook and do libation, because there are some people out there that need to know what we want you to say. It doesn't mean that it will become their truth, but it will open a doorway for them to want to know their truth. And then when we start talking about truth, or we start talking about ma'at is the foundation. It is the principles of life that governs our thoughts, our words, and our actions. So, I was listening to you speak just a moment ago when you was talking about practicing. Even when the ancestor says, we don't practice anything, we live it.
Live it.
Yes. Because when people are practicing, that means that they're never really having a greater understanding. They believe in something, but they don't know something. Kind of like saying, I believe it's going to rain today. I don't know if it's going to rain until it rains. But when you know something, no one can come in and divide you from your spirit when you know it.
That's right.
And so when we practice things, that means that we're in the process of knowing. But when we know something, there is nothing that can come and change you from that position once you know it. And you only know it when you're living it. So that is the part to where I am now. It took me a long time, I'm gonna say, in this lifetime to get to this point, but I know that what I speak and what I think and what I do works for me. And so I have to be that example. The best way that we can teach our people is by always being the example.
That's right.
And when they come to you for counsel, or if they come to you for guidance, or if they're coming to you for influence or enlightenment, then they always say people listen to 10% of what you say and 90% of what you do.
That's right.
So you got to be able to walk the walk on everything that you're speaking on, even when the people are not looking at you. You got to be that example. So for me, divination has to do with libation. Divination has to do with my connection to life and nature, because life and nature are the true brothers and sisters to us. All of us are vessels. Each one of us, all four of us right now, we're having a conversation with ourselves right now, because we are all the different aspects of what life and nature has given to us, as well as how the spirit moves through us. And so even the masks that we have in our store, they are a reflection of our energy that we have here in our store. They're either protection masks, they're celebration masks, or what we call duality masks. So we have masks in here that are masculine and feminine principle in nature. And so when we look at the holistic approach of what we're teaching our people, is that each of us has a masculine and a feminine principle in us. And that masculine and feminine principle in us it directs and guides us at the time that we need it to, so that we can live our true purpose and our true lifestyle in this grand scheme of things that we're living in right now. And so no matter where we are, whether we be in Sierra Leone, whether we be in Orangeburg or Colombia or Jamaica or Haiti or South America, Brazil, we all are interconnected, interdependent, interrelated, and interacting with each other. Those are the intangibles and the internal and the infinite spirit that dwells within us all. So as we connect on that, as we're connecting now, the divination continues to exist. It continues to reveal itself. It continues to reveal our life path. It continues to reveal our purpose and our intentions for living. And so when people come to this store, this temple, that is the aspect that we relate to them on. But then because of the trauma that our people have been in, because we are helping them, we also have to have a way of detaching after that counsel, after that session is over, so that we don't take on that trauma, that energy that our people have been through as well. Because if we don't do a detachment, then now we're starting to summons in some negativity, knowing that negativity has to exist in order for positive to exist. They both are, again, the principles of life that governs everything that we live in.
Mm-hmm.
Man, brother, you have said a mouthful, man. You have probably answered every question I was going to ask. You answered it, but and it's important what you're saying, because like in my home, I try to surround myself with Afrocentric artifacts.
Right.
I keep an ancestral altar in the house that I may not talk to it every day, but most times I do. And I know that's important. That's why I follow you on Facebook. That's what probably what led my spirit to you, I believe, and to what has been transpiring. What has been transpiring with Fode, with Dominique, even with Baba Amin.
Yes.
All of these things that we're doing that we keep around us is attracting us to this type of this type of living, this type of environment. And it's like I said, it's important to leave that outside stuff alone. And when you come in your home, surround yourself with your altar, your masses, your culture. Yeah. That's what I do. When you see me in this room, I'm in the lab.
Yeah.
This is where I let it all hang out.
Right. Africa.
This is Chief, this is my Kenny Dougal.
Okay.
You got me? Got me? When I come in here, this is it. This is
and I love what you said also about, it's one thing to practice something, but to actually live it, because that coincides with what I believe. Practice what you preach and preach what you practice.
That's right.
So, I'm 100% in agreement with that.
Yes. And we have 4 altars that the ancestors told us to build here in the store, because they're doorways. And so as the altars live, the ancestors can come to us, and we want the people to be able to go. These are community altars that we have in our store. So at any particular time that someone want to go to an altar, whether it be in the back of the store or the side of the store or the front of the store, that's where the ancestors have led them, so that they can have that personal conversation with their ancestors while they're here in this store.
Right.
That's what I was going to say. Well, one of my other questions, because I know you're talking about your store, but I know you hold special events in the store sometimes, like maybe drumming sessions or something like that. Am I right?
You're right. We have people from the community that they come in if they want to use the store for classes, and especially if they're not charging the people, then they can come use the store, and we don't charge them for using the store.
That's what's up, man.
But now if they're charging, if they're charging the people, then we have to charge them.
That's only right.
Yeah,
right.
So we've had drumming classes here. I have another brother named Baba Saitu. He and I do a meditation and libation class. So we're teaching people about libation, and we're also teaching them about how to meditate. And that we offer that class the first and third Thursday of each month from 6 o'clock to 7 o'clock. And so we're starting to get more and more people to come to the store for that particular session because they want to learn more about how do they harness their own spirit and their energy and dealing with their own traumas that they're dealing with on a daily basis. And so we're teaching them how to do that so that their ancestors can come to them and teach them their way, but allowing the way that we're giving them to be that doorway.
Right.
You know what I was surprised about when I came in the shop, man. And me and my wife noticed this when we were there. You had some of everybody from a different background in the community. It was different people there. I noticed it was probably some Christians there.
Right.
I know one brother in there, he looked like he was from the, not look like, and I'm not putting him down, but I could tell he was maybe a street cat or something. You know what I'm saying? It's some of everybody come in your shop.
They do.
Me, I'm just a regular old man coming in there trying to get my I come to get my Florida water and get, my incense and my little sage and stuff like that. So you have some everybody come in there, and that's a good thing. And it's important to have that in the community because once again, that's what my mom exposed me to when I was coming up. And it's important, like we've been saying, it's important to have that in our lives.
I tell you what's really interesting for me is that we get a lot of parents and children coming in our store, and so when we see that we even have a special section for the kids that while the parents are shopping, the kids can go in this little section and they can play, they can be free to be children. And so my wife wanted to make sure that we had that special place for the children so that the parents can get what they need to get and still watch for the children, but let the children be children.
Mm-hmm.
And so that was special for us to make sure that we had that particular section in our store just for the children so that they can color, so they can play around in there, and they can be what they've been designed to be, and they can learn their creativity from that as well.
Yeah.
And see that's exactly what I was exposed to when my mother used to take me to 125th Street at Liberation Bookstore in Harlem. She would take me there while she would be talking to her friends or doing her little regular shopping. I was browsing everything. I forget the gentleman's name, the man who owned the store, but I was browsing all those books, picking up that knowledge from a young age, and I like that, and I like that you providing that service to us.
Yes,
absolutely. He says temple. You say temple, but a temple is the center of a community.
Yes,
especially in our context.
Yes,
I mean it doesn't replace the church.
Correct.
What it does is it provides people with their own. And when you know the history of South Carolina is a spiritual center. It's a place where our people have fought the struggle for spiritual sovereignty, for spiritual independence. From day one all the way till now, we still hold on to remnants of what our ancestors passed down.
Absolutely.
It's a very, very powerful place to be, for sure. I want to know if there is any connection to, like, let me say, I won't say community activism, but community activism. Are you guys out there in the community doing outreach, or how are you connecting with the actual neighborhoods?
Oh, most definitely. Baba Amin and I, he and I work close together in a lot of different ways to reach out to the community. We actually have an organization that we work with that we created. It's called the Ujima Collective, where ourselves as well as a few other men, we come together. As a matter of fact, we work with some brothers from the Nation of Islam. We work with a martial arts expert that works with kids in the community as well. We have another young brother that is he's a photographer. He's a videographer. We work with him so he can tell the story. And then we try to come from a lot of different pathways and aspects to make sure that we can record and tell our story in a way that it comes from our perspective and not trying to utilize other means of telling the story, but let it be from our viewpoint, let it be from our worldview, let it be from our South Carolina perspective or Columbia perspective, because what we'll find out is that what's happening here in Colombia is happening everywhere. You know, there is no difference in the climate. There is no difference in the environment. You know, the first environment that we got to deal with is the environment within ourselves.
That's right.
That is why the word environment exists. That's why it says environment. You know, what is the what does your environment look like within you? Because that will shape the perspective of the environment that's outside of you as well. You know, so when we go out here in the community, as a matter of fact, we're part of the South Carolina Juneteenth Freedom Fest. So we have the South Carolina Juneteenth Freedom Fest that's coming up in June the 21st here in Columbia. And so with this particular organization, it's an umbrella organization that houses several other organizations that's within it. So we work within that. But then there's another organization that's called the Catalyst in Bongi, which some of my elders that taught me, Baba Derek Jackson, Baba Bernie Gallman, and Baba Joe Benton, they're actually my teachers that helped shape and mold me to do the work that I'm doing now as well. You know, so the Catalyst in Bongi, they do specific things as well that we work within to make sure that we are reaching a part of the community that we may not be able to reach, but the Catalyst in Bongi reaches. And then there's another set of a community that the Ujima Collective, that it reaches, that the Catalyst in Bongi can't reach. But then we have the South Carolina Juneteenth Freedom Fest that it's now reaching a set of people that the other two cannot reach. So we're part of those, as well as what we're doing collectively, or I don't like to use the word individual, but what my wife and I do here in the store, we reach some people that some of the other spiritual stores that are here in Columbia may not be able to reach. So now we're talking about holistically bringing the spirit of the body together, but knowing that the outreach that's taking place is reaching those areas of our community that has not been reached before.
Right.
Makes perfect sense. Makes perfect sense. That's why I said you guys are a nation building. Yes. Those are the methods of people who are nation building at the local level. I think it's brilliant. I want to back up a little bit because we was talking about ancestry earlier. And you got them Sumter roots, and we know a little something about. You know, we've been digging up in Sumter too. We've been digging all these counties up because
digging ain't the word.
They lied to us about our ancestors, and so we've been digging up county by county, finding them Africanisms, finding those traditions, finding that language, finding those names, finding those documents. And Sumter was definitely a strong spiritual center. In fact, Baba Akimo's ancestor was a big preacher there back during the days of enslavement. You know, and he headed a whole community of people from Sumter who spread out the region. And I want to ask you if you have really dug into your genealogy. How far have you gone with your genealogy?
I'm still in the beginning processes of it. So I'll tell you this: my grandmother's great grandfather came up through South America. Came up through the Trail of Tears in Texas. He was the last known slave of our family, and he was a part of a tribe they called the Lakia tribe out of South America. That by the time they came up to through Texas and the Trail of Tears, they ran them out of Texas through West Virginia. From West Virginia, they came to Winnsboro, South Carolina. And then they migrated into Sumter. But then there was a portion of them migrated to Sumter. Then there was another migration. Some of them went down to Charleston.
Right.
And so we have that, and so I have that particular perspective from my grandmother's side. From my grandfather's side, they're the ones that came from Sumter. My great grandfather and my grandfather actually had a hotel in Sumter, and a tool shop that was next door in Sumter. They owned a whole block, a business there. When my grandfather died, the Europeans ran them out of Sumter into Eastover. They could not even hold on to the property because the Europeans from that time period wanted that property. My great grandparents and my grandparents, they wouldn't allow them to have it, and they fought for it. But once he died, once he transitioned, that's when they moved on that property and ran my grandmother and all my other relatives out of there into Eastover, South Carolina. So they lost that property. So one of my aunts, my mother's sister, and I just learned this story last week. She told me this last week. And so she and we're going to go to Sumter, and she's going to show me where that property was and how much of that property that my family owned in Sumter. And so I'm gonna learn more and more about that from my grandfather's side. On my grandmother's side, I actually we have the pictures of my great grandfather, how those old pictures we have the original picture. That is like about 6 pictures that my family still have. And so I'm still learning about that particular part of my family. On my father's side, they came from Alabama. And so I'm at the beginning stages now of learning more. And because I have one uncle from my father's side that's out of my father's side that's still living. But I have an older cousin that I'm going to him so he can teach me, because he's like, I think he's about 20, 25 years older than me. So he has a perspective that I can learn from him. But that's all I have left. All of my aunts and my uncles from my dad's side and my grandparents, they've already transitioned. And that's why go ahead.
Have you thought, how do you feel about DNA testing? Have you done DNA testing?
I'm kind of apprehensive about DNA testing, because
I was too.
Yeah,
most people are.
Yeah,
but I'll say this: when you DNA test, it will open doors that you will
information.
Because I used to hit brick walls, but once I DNA tested and started connecting to not only cousins I knew about, but cousins I didn't know about, then I started making connections to Sierra Leone and other parts of West Africa, started finding out more about myself and this and that. DNA is a game changer. DNA is a true game changer. I've met people from everywhere, man, from everywhere.
Well, I'll tell you this. This is what Spirit told me. Spirit told. This is what I can only speak to you about. What I'm getting through the Spirit.
Right.
Spirit says, "Are you going to listen to what man is telling you, or are you going to listen to what Spirit is telling you?"
Well, what I did, brother, along with the DNA testing, I used it to verify the oral history that I got from my grandparents.
Gotcha.
And I started connecting the dots, and they those dots led me all the way back. So I know between what I learned from oral history combined with the DNA, my spirit tells me that
paper trail
that this is true. So
I
know,
Also,
hey,
Baba.
Hey,
Baba Chemo, man. I was so against DNA testing. And it was like, man, what you want my DNA for? But then I said, hold up. I said, really, they got my DNA. I said, really, why should they have this knowledge and I don't have it?
Exactly.
Why should they be able to know all my ancestral connections and where my source of my DNA come from? Because they got the DNA where they can get it.
Yeah.
Right?
They already had mine. The day I joined the military was the day they had mine, so it don't make a difference.
Anytime you go to the doctor and they draw blood or anything, they get your DNA, man.
No, I agree with you.
Then also on top of that, right? Like just imagine, if you on trial for murder and a DNA test can save you, it really wasn't you. You know what I mean? And the DNA test, and you said, man, I can't, man. I don't really rock with DNA. It's the same thing with this, the way I see it, because like our life depends on connected with our ancestry right now. You know, the quality of our life depends on the connection that we have with our ancestors. And for us, because of the Great Migration, because of the racism, even in archives, even in documenting our side, man, we really gotta dig. And one thing I see people doing outside of our race is they're using DNA to reconnect. I've seen Irish people who've been in America 150 years reconnect with their cousins in Ireland, and it's crazy when you see how Europeans are using this DNA science. Okay. You know what I mean? And so for us, we're skeptical. We're always skeptical. But from experience, what I've been able to see and the way we've been able to assist people is that the spiritual work that you do with genetic genealogy, with the ability to say, I know for sure that Baba Akimo and I have cousins here in Sierra Leone that we have met, and we're welcome to their chiefdoms. It's not even a figment of the imagination. We've met the people already. They have the same DNA as we have. So there's no way for that to happen without us having the same ancestors. Mm-hmm. So we're able to learn about our ancestral story by connecting with these African relatives, and even in the States, we learn about our American side story. We found out that a portion of our family was separated and went to Alabama and went over to Mississippi and went as far as Texas. Mm-hmm. We understand it's in records. We even researched the slaveholder. We researched the cracker. We researched them because they was documenting themselves. They had receipts. They had wills. They had all kinds of things that we wasn't allowed to have. So we got to follow our family by following their families. And it's hard. Even when you do DNA testing, you might find a cracker. You might find the slave master's great granddaughter. You be like, man, how is this person my cousin?
You absolutely will.
You're right. 100%.
So it takes it out of they raped our ancestors to this shit really happened to me. Yeah. And here go one of the descendants. You know what I mean? So it makes it so much more real when you have the scientific evidence, is what I'm saying. It's
No, I get what you're saying, and I don't have a problem with, because they, like you said, they already have the DNA. They have that from birth, right? I don't have a problem with the exchange of the DNA. The only thing that I can go on is that even the connection that we four have, it is through the spirit.
I said
first and foremost.
Yeah, first and foremost, there is no DNA that can say that we don't have a spiritual connection, right?
Absolutely.
And so that is the only aspect that I come from, is that because we're spiritual beings having human experiences.
Yes, sir.
Okay. 100%. And because we're spiritual beings first, and this vessel is only designed to do the work that you're required to do while you are here. And so when my energy is placed upon doing the work that I'm required to do, and knowing that my spirit will link me to everybody else that's a part of that same spirituality, then it takes it out of the hands of DNA. It only says, I want you to focus on spirit and spirit only.
It's deeper.
Yeah, it's deeper than the blood, because the blood is only used again to help the vessel to do the work that you're required to do while you're here. And so when even in the divinations are not done on bloodline. It's not done on genealogy. It's only done on spirit. So when they do divination, the divination is only done on through it's about the spiritual aspects of what we're supposed to do while we're here. And so that when my focus sustains and maintains that, then the ancestor says, then you're still living through the spirit. You're not living through the physical aspect. You're only living through the spirit. So as you stay focused on your spirit, we stay focused on you. But if you stay focused on that physical, then you're going to also be held to the accountability of the physical based on what you're choosing to do. So that's why I stay focused on the spirit. So spirit linked us up. Spirit linked me with Baba Amin. Spirit has linked me up with every person that's around me, so that we can work holistically together for the greater aspects of our ancestors.
Right.
And so I know that I have a spiritual linkage in Dogon. I know I have a spiritual link to the Twa. I know I have a spiritual linkage to Haiti. I know I have a spiritual linkage in Jamaica. I know I have a spiritual linkage in Brazil. I know I have a spiritual linkage in Sumter and Eastover in Alabama. And so that is what I focus on primarily, because I want to make sure that I am being guided through my spirit in every decision. Because I don't make most 90 to 95% of the decisions that has been made has always happened in spirit. I don't even dress myself every day. The spirit dresses me every day. It tells me exactly what to put on. Sometimes my wife look at me and she'll say, "How are you wearing plaids and dashiki together?" I said, "Well, look, I didn't dress me, spirit dressed me. I'm only doing what the spirit told me to do." Right? Whatever reason why I'm wearing it. Yeah.
Hey, Baba.
Yeah.
Hey, listen, man. Look, even if you personally rock with spirit, you don't want nothing to do with the science, right?
Yeah.
You got relatives that wouldn't mind, right?
Yeah.
And so you can still get information from other people testing.
Okay.
You know what I mean? So you know, there's a lot of people who say, "No, I ain't doing that," but then they got a sibling or a child or auntie or uncle that don't mind that want to take the test for the family.
Yeah.
So we see a lot of that as well. We see a lot of people that's like, "Man, I'm not, you know, my sister, she crazy, she with it." Well, let's get the sister done so we can figure out the information for your family.
Okay.
So So even if there's a case where for spiritual purposes or any purpose, some people just don't play that, man. Just period. And it's real because our ancestors used to burn their hair. Our ancestors didn't play with blood and didn't play with bodily fluids or fingernails. They ain't play with that kind of stuff.
Right.
And so that's before genetic science. That was spiritual science.
Mm-hmm.
You don't mess with people's
spiritual
stuff.
That's
you know
right.
what I mean? So
that's right.
That's real. That's real. But there are people out there who are willing to take one for the team, take one for the family. And so in the case that ever happens, man, we'd be down to help you dig in, bro.
Yeah. Especially since you got this Sumter Eastover connection, man. Me and Baba mainly, well, all three of us.
Yes.
Down to assist you, man.
Okay.
You'd be surprised, man. I wouldn't be surprised if some coming from Sumter, if some of our people haven't crossed paths. I found my great grandfather back in 1869 when him and his sons first went to vote in Sumter. He took his sons. He took, I forget how many, but I know he took like 3 or 4 of his sons to go and vote with him in Sumter at a place called Carter's Crossing back in 1869.
Carter's Crossing. Yeah.
And back in those days, man, you had to be a brave man to do that kind of thing. But we also have an Eastover connection too, because some of them, I have one cousin who married into an Eastover family there. So you never know. You never know, man. I pay attention to a lot of small details,
especially out of Eastover.
And these details, you never know where these details will lead you or what you will come across. I've made so many different connections like that, and it's been amazing, man. And so I believe in the spiritual aspect. I believe in the DNA aspect. And I'm also about bringing that lineage restoration together because that's just me. That's just what I like.
Doing that type of work, that's spiritual.
Yeah,
that's the spirit is the motivator behind doing all of that work.
Oh yeah, of course,
absolutely,
of course. Yeah. Oh, I'm in full agreement with everything that Baba is talking about. I'm in full agreement.
I think it's lifestyle. I think it's just like what the brother is saying. Like lifestyle, it fits your own cut, just like your clothes. It fits your own build. But I appreciate what the House of Hathor is doing as a temple in the community to provide people with a uniform way of practice, a way that give them some principles, give them some tools, give them a place where they can come and feel the spirit and get some things that they can use for themselves. That is so powerful. Do you realize like that having that service alone has been banned in America all the way up until now? You got to watch yourself with African shops, with bookstores, everything. I'm talking about, man, we used to have bookstores all across America.
Yes.
All across America. And they shut them down, not because just because of the books, but because of the social political environment that it will create for the people, for the community.
That's right.
Right. And so even though it's dealing with spirituality and knowledge of self, at the same time, it still has a political and an economic function in the community. So I commend you highly on building this institution, particularly in South Carolina. You have different communities. You have the Ifa community, the Yoruba community, went down and developed an institution in Beaufort, a village.
That's right.
You have different things happening in South Carolina, and I think it would be beautiful for us to find a time per year where we can come together and network and do presentations and vend and hold it down for ourselves. Do one big mass libation together.
That'll be 1,000
people, 1,000 people, bruh. You know,
now they do
the names out.
They do. There is it's always the second Saturday in June where we do an ancestral veneration down in Sullivan's Island.
I heard about that. Yeah.
I've been going for the past 3 years, where and I think last year we had maybe close to 200 people that came, and we start out right there at the visiting center. We do a processional down to the water with the drumming, with the dancing. People go to the water and they cleanse. We come back out. We circle up. We do a libation on the beach, and then once we finish, we go back behind the visiting center, and then we also there's a speakers that talk, and then we have these flowers that they make this huge ornament out of, and we take it to the water and we put it in the water by the pier for the ancestors. And so that's being done every year. Some of what you're talking about, because Sullivan's Island was one of the major places where they brought our ancestors in on.
Yes.
And so they have a huge historical landmark right there that tells the story about Sullivan's Island.
Right.
And so as a matter of fact, they talked about it. There was a video done a few years ago. What was it called? Something about eating. And they went to Africa, to certain places. I think they went to Nigeria. They went to Ghana.
Yeah.
I forgot the name of it. It escapes me.
What was it called? I remember a few years ago. Yeah, I remember it too.
And so
a documentary on Netflix.
Yes.
How on the Hog, man.
Yeah, How on the Hog.
Yeah, Michael Twitty from DJ Business. Yeah.
So when they talked about that actually brought more notoriety to Sullivan's Island. People started coming down just to see Sullivan's Island. But then when you get to Sullivan's Island, you see that there's none of us there. But
bingo.
But they do have an African grave site when you first come on to Sullivan's Island. There's an African grave site over there. The people that transition and they buried them there as a landmark. But then when you go on to Sullivan's Island, you see that they're enjoying the fruits of our ancestors' labor that was done. And there's none of us that's there. They might be working there, but they don't live there. And so even on the beach area, you can't go into the water to swim or anything there. And because they said that the tide would take you out, and there's a lot of rocks there. Yeah. And so we always say the ancestor says you might be able to live here, but you're not going to enjoy getting in the water here because there's some blood that's in this water.
All right.
We're not going to allow you to bring us here, and you're going to enjoy it here to that particular extent.
Absolutely. You know, just yesterday I shared a short video that was educating basically about the rice fields, about the how you say it, all the construction that the ancestors did in order to even grow that rice, engineering and stuff, right?
That's right.
And I asked myself, I said, where are their descendants? Because I'm a reader, and I know that after emancipation, they walked off those rice plantations. They said, "Man, I'm out of here."
Yes.
So where did they go?
Yes.
Where did they go and reconnect and reconvene and intermix and intermarry? Where did that take place?
Right.
And what we believe, because of our research and our study, what we know.
What we know about
There you go.
What we know is that the masses of the people who was in the counties that they call Gullah Geechee counties today, they migrated inland to places like Columbia, Eastover. They migrated to Lexington County. They migrated to Clarendon. They migrated to Calhoun. They went inland.
That's right.
And they married. And when you go and do the genealogical research, it's right there in documentation. It's right there that your great-great-grandfather's wife was from St. Helena.
Right.
Wow, okay, here it goes. So it's a thing where if you don't do the research, you have to assume. And you know what they say about assuming things, right?
Right.
So we trying to cut right through it, and we just had the Orangeburg Gullah Geechee Heritage Festival back in March. We had the first one in Orangeburg County's history.
Okay.
People don't know that the Gullah Geechee culture went all the way into Columbia, all the way to the fall line, and even beyond that, eventually, because they took our people past there.
Right.
But I'm talking about just the general realm of culture. It wasn't just the coastline and the Sea Islands. Right. That is a farce that the Europeans have been promoting to disconnect the rest of us from that culture down there.
That's right.
And so I asked you that because our people literally, as soon as emancipation was over, man, we threw down them tools, we went and land, and we got with everybody in there. So I think that some of this commemoration, some of this ancestral veneration, it has to go and land. Yes. Some of it, we have cemeteries that we need to identify. We don't even know where they are right now.
Right.
You understand?
Yeah.
We have churches that represent the formation of our bloodlines.
Yes.
Because when our people was enslaved, they had underground churches.
Yes.
And the underground church is where we handle all our community affairs, just like the temple.
That's right. That's right.
And so there's so much to dig into, and we still have elders. For some reason, people in South Carolina they can live 100 years, 110 years.
Yeah.
So we have elders out there that we need to get to that can direct us to the sacred places.
Yes.
There's sacred places. There's places that our ancestors want us to find.
Yes.
One of them, I believe, is the graves of the USCTs. You talked about Juneteenth earlier.
Yes.
I have an ancestor who fought in that war, fought in the Civil War.
Yes.
Take great pride in it. Can't tell you where his grave is. And it's a lot of that. It's a lot of people who, when it was time to stand up and go maroon and get a weapon, and we did. That's exactly what we did. And that part gets wiped completely out.
Yes.
So we don't know where they're buried. Sometimes we do know where the USCTs are buried, but most of the time we don't know where they are.
Right.
So one of the things that we can do is identify these cemeteries and do like reenactments and highlight the USCT during the times of Juneteenth.
Okay.
Very, very important because they was key players. The whole idea of Juneteenth is because the USCTs reached Texas.
That's
They
right.
don't tell you that it was black Buffalo soldiers who went over there and said, "Man, what y'all doing? Y'all free."
That's right.
Mm-hmm. It was three black regiments in Galveston.
From South Carolina.
From South Carolina. That's right.
From South Carolina. Yeah, that's exactly right. We that would be a wonderful thing for us to possibly do next year for Juneteenth, is to bring, because again, Juneteenth for us, especially for me, is not about the celebration itself, but is the celebration of the work that we did the year before.
Thank you.
If we're doing the work throughout the year, when we come back around to Juneteenth next year, 2026, what work did we do for us to celebrate our ancestors?
That's right.
That's what we want to be able to talk about. How many more of our people did we uncover?
Mm-hmm.
How many more of our people did we pull out of bondage or oppression or depression?
That's
How
right.
many more of our people have home ownership or land ownership or economic liberation or political liberation? Let's speak to that. And now we have a purpose for celebrating not only our ancestors that we freed, but also for the purpose of us living today.
Celebrating what we did in our past, but also highlighting what we're doing in our
future. That's in our present.
Right.
Exactly. For the future.
For the future. I love that. Yes,
so that is the whole premise behind us doing Juneteenth.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. And that's the real tradition that we're continuing.
Yes.
There's always been a body of astute black men and women in the midst that the cracker couldn't fool.
That's right.
Nor oppress.
That's
nor
right.
just beat down to the ground. There's always been those of us who've been truly in tune with, like you said, our spirit. It ain't it's not our humanity, because it's deeper than that.
It's much deeper.
The kind of things that they've done to us, it reaches to a deeper level. That's why I can understand, like, even the psychosocial aspect of having the images in the home, of going through the daily ritual of calling ancestors names. That is so important. You know, I watch you on Facebook as well. I want everybody out there, please, make sure you find the House of Hathor out there, Columbia, South Carolina. Baba Aba is every day providing leadership in service concerning libation.
Yeah.
Some of us are used to prayer, but the whole concept of prayer is that you're going outside of yourself. You're going out to the ultimate divine God. You're going out to something else. But with libation, literally, you're tapping into who you are. You're literally reconnecting with an aspect of who you are. I remember my mom used to always say, even though when you was born, you had a umbilical cord cut to me, they cut that off. Spiritually, they never severed the umbilical cord. You're still connected to your parents spiritually in that same kind of way that you was when you was born. And when you think about that, it makes sense to keep that relationship strong.
Yes, yes. As a matter of fact, I especially because of this day, like this right here.
I know that one.
This necklace that I have on right now.
Is that Vili?
Huh?
Is that a Vili mask from Congo?
It is from the Congo.
Gabon?
This one is from the Congo, but what I did was it represents my mother. And so I added the hair to it. I added the jewels to it so that it represents her spirit on me. And I have one for my dad that I've made. And so I have different necklaces that I've created that the ancestors have used me to create, which we call spiritual warrior necklaces. That it represents the warrior spirit that you have within yourself, because the true battle that we always will fight will be the battle that we have within ourselves. You know, and once you can understand the battle that you have within yourself, the battle that's on the outside won't make a difference anymore, because that's the strongest battle you have to fight is the one that we have within ourselves. And so when we look at all these different aspects of what we have to deal with, as a matter of fact, I remember the book by Makaru Nellie Fuller. He wrote a book called The United Compensatory Code System of Racism, right? And he talked about those 9 areas of people activity. And so if you can't control all of them, then you can't control none of them. And so, but when I look at it, I'm looking at the spiritual aspect of it. How do I control that within myself? And if I can control it within myself, then it doesn't matter about controlling anything else outside of myself. I can control it within me. And that's where liberation comes. The true liberation that we have is the liberation within ourselves. And you walk different, you speak different, you talk different, and you think different when you understand your spirit and what your spirit is telling you that you must do. Because when we look at life and nature, regardless of what man does to it, it still continues to bring forth life. No matter how many streets are put down, no matter how many times they try to dig up the trees, no matter how much they try to burn away anything, life and nature continues to bring forth life. And nature continues to be that balance within that life as we continue to live. And so that is the greatest example of everlasting life in finite form that I can see. So when I look outside and I see life in nature, the trees and everything else, then I look to it to give me my answers, that clarity and understanding that I'm looking for. Because spirit is going to bring me my knowledge and my wisdom.
Right. That's right.
But life and nature is going to bring me clarity and understanding. And so that is where balance is always achieved. But we got to live, but we have to live that way in order for us to find that truth.
Yeah, absolutely. You need a guiding set of principles. That brings it all together. Like you said, the 9 areas. What is interwoven throughout the 9 areas? And for many people, we're returning back to traditional systems that's available to us all, like Mayat. I've seen some people going back to the Manding Kufaba, which was the human rights charter of the Manding, of the Mandingo, of the Mali Empire. We had oral and written documentation of these grand statements of who we are and, you know, the rights that we have and things like this. So we weren't just always said we weren't just numbskulls. We weren't just still trying to figure civilization out. We were the most civilized people on the face of the earth.
Correct.
Prior to our kidnapping and our forced enslavement.
That's right.
So when you have something like Mayat, then you're able to have a moral code. You're able to have an ethical code that says even as we interact on these 9 areas, we interact based on a commitment and an oath to this code. That we're not going to fight each other. We're striving to establish balance and complementarity.
That's right.
You know, and so it's a beautiful thing to see that we're coming full circle, but in the West.
Yes.
It's a beautiful thing that now we're beginning to really grasp these ancient concepts and principalities and apply them. So, you know, again, brother, I applaud your work. I love what you're doing. And also it's great to know that you're not the only one, that there's other people out there doing it. Every local town, every state, every community has these servants of the people that's providing this spiritual nourishment, man. I really appreciate you.
Well, I tell you, I want to make sure that I say this. In Colombia, there are 6 other spiritual shops here, or temples here, out of 5 other than ourselves. Brother Carew, who owns the Orion's Oracle, he's the one that actually pushed my wife and I forward to create a store here on this side of town. Okay. So I appreciate him for that. What he did for us, because he was the first store here in Colombia and has been in existence probably for over 50 years. Yeah. And so from him, Brother Sekou, who has Spink's Paw, that's another spiritual shop here in Colombia. And then you have our store, the House of Hathor. You have Brother Solomon, he has Solomon's Temple. That's another store. And then you have Ankh Life, Brother Mazani has that one. So we're all on different parts of town or arteries in Colombia to where we can reach certain neighborhoods that the other may not be able to reach. So that's what the ancestors have already designed for us, to make sure that that's Ma'at. That's exactly right. To bring it all together and have balance in everything that we do, and that we committed to the standards of life, which I call upon the Nguzo Saba, which is Kwanzaa. So those are our values that we hold true to us. And so, you know, when we look at the values and we look at the principles, the interest that we're talking about the enhancements, the increase, we're talking about the income, and we're not talking about just money. We're talking about the income of knowledge and wisdom, right? And we're talking about insurance, which means your protection. You are insured with what you must do as you do it, so that you can be protected in the same aspect as well. So those values, interests, and principles, that is the foundation of life that exists within us, so that we can stand strong, stand true, and be protected in that as we continue to live that life.
I said. Yeah, man. That's powerful. That's powerful, man.
That's very powerful, man. Well, tell the people where your shop is located at, man, and you know how to get it.
We're located at 6319 North Main Street in the Northside Plaza. I'll say maybe about half a mile from I-20. You can reach us. You can come to us here. Our email address is thehouseofhathor@gmail.com. You can call us at 803-741-8090. And so again, we're going to continue to have different events here outside of the libation and meditation class. We're actually going to have a mental health workshop here during the Juneteenth week. We're going to have an entrepreneurship workshop here during that same week. And then we're also we have open mic spoken word poetry that we do once a month here at the temple as well. So, you know, we're going to continue to develop different ways to pull our community in so that we can reach those that need to be reached.
Well, that's good, man. Well, I'm gonna say this for us. Here in Orangeburg, let us know what we can do to assist, help, or we have a little spot here, the Cosmic Green spot, where we can hold, events or meetings or whatever, man. Just let us know what we can do to help out, reach out to you.
Okay, well, I tell you, I'm gonna get Baba Amin, and he and I probably gonna have to come to Orangeburg. So
Baba has been here. Baba came to the first festival, and he ripped it. He did.
He
blew it up.
Yeah,
he blew it up. And ever since then, ever since he's been to the festival, we've been in contact. That's what made me reach out to you, man.
Gotcha.
That's what made me reach out to you.
Okay.
And the other brother Jamal Bradley, I want to reach out to him as well, because I know y'all preparing for.
We're all intertwined together. Yes, he's a good brother. Exactly. Well, I'm gonna make it my point to be there next year.
Yes, sir.
Oh yeah, for sure.
I'm gonna make it my point to be there.
For sure.
If I can get the Queen together, we have to close the store for a day, but we're gonna make it a point to make sure we come.
He had his Queen with him when he came. He brought the whole family, as a matter of fact.
Yes, I see my wife. My Queen is on right now. She's putting.
Right.
That's good. That's good.
Right. She got it back.
This has been a very powerful episode, man. I'm glad.
Absolutely.
I'm glad you were able to join us.
You know, I'm very excited about the Orangeburg Columbia connection, because we literally could run the state. I know that. I understand it.
Yes.
I know Orangeburg and Columbia combined, just that region.
Yes.
The area.
Yes.
We should be holding that very, very strongly.
I'm down for it. Whatever it is that we need to. This is the one. Before we go, this is the one thing I've always told people. South Carolina is where freedom and liberation has to take place first before the rest of the United States become liberated.
Yeah.
If it doesn't happen here first, it won't happen no other place first.
I like that.
This is our exit. This is where the exodus takes place, right here in South Carolina.
That's right.
Yeah, absolutely right. And what a lot of people don't know, that Orangeburg itself was the jump off spot.
Yes.
Yeah.
You know, they get to the history. We've dug into the history, as Chief was saying. So we know what we're talking about when it comes to this. Yeah. Orangeburg was the jump off spot.
Orangeburg was the suburbs of Charleston. Orangeburg is where all the rich Charleston white folk would run to during the rain season and live safely out there near the swamps and the rivers. So Orangeburg used to be considered a district that included a bunch of different local counties, modern counties. Lexington was Orangeburg. A part of Clarendon was Orangeburg. Calhoun was Orangeburg. Aiken County, Orangeburg. Bamberg, Barnwell, Orangeburg. So
Allendale.
All of these places was Orangeburg district during enslavement. It's after enslavement, through Reconstruction, that they start to create new counties, and they divided that district up.
Yes.
That district was flooded with Africans, and also the white people who had that district were the elite of South Carolina. They were the ones who led the drive towards the Civil War. It came specifically out of those plantations, the same people whose names we still passing down to our babies unbeknownst.
Right.
Is the same people who fought a whole war to keep us permanently enslaved.
Yeah.
You know, and so we got to change the dynamic. A lot of people are beginning to reverse the migration. People coming back from New York, people coming back from Philly, people coming back from California, to be able to know more about themselves. It's a spiritual journey for everybody. If you talk to them, everybody got something that's calling them and pushing them back to the South.
That's right.
So when they get there, when they get to our region, we got to be able to articulate a narrative of history locally that helps them understand why they're being called back there.
Well, and it's funny you should say that, because lately most of our entertainers or sports, whatever it is, they have some root in South Carolina.
That's right.
Whenever they say, well, you know, my auntie or my grandparents or my great grandparents are from Orangeburg, South Carolina, or Calhoun, South Carolina, or Greenville, South Carolina. They're from some part of South Carolina. That's right. Where they have some roots associated with us. And that and so you're right. And so many people want to be a part. The Spirit is leading them back. They may not recognize or understand it, but it's Spirit that's leading them back to being here in South Carolina.
Yeah, Orangeburg district received the Congo. I mean, the Wanderers from the Congo in 1858. 3 years before the Civil War began, over 200 Africans were smuggled into Orangeburg district, and a lot of their descendants don't even know who they are. And so there was like a last wave of Congolese culture, boom, that hit that area. Yes. And when you look at even like the root work that's done, it's very Congolese inspired.
Yes.
You understand? So there's a lot of legacy and heritage out there that's completely unknown, completely wiped out by white supremacy.
Right.
And so we're trying to bring that back, bro. We're trying to dig that history up, expose it, make it available for the babies coming behind us.
Yes.
Because that's empowerment knowledge. You understand?
Yes.
When you talk about Brother Dominique is a researcher, probably one of the best in the culture right now.
Yeah.
And he's been able to find a bunch of information, just small details that we've been assuming without the details. And this brother has been able to find the details and say, I can tell you, I can document 20 lynchings within 20 months this year, this time. And you're like, what? So, and they never bothered to tell us this part of the history. Of course not.
I think it'll be a great idea, and I'm just going to put this out here, and I'm going to talk. Of course, I'll talk to Baba Amin and Brother Jamal about it. I would love to have an inclusion of y'all with us on Juneteenth next year, so that we could talk about. We can bring information available.
It was my intention. It is my intention to come hang out at in Columbia on Juneteenth.
I'll be doing libation to open it up.
Well, I plan on being there.
Okay. Powerful. So I think you're right. I think maybe not this year, but next year we can kind of trying to coordinate some things together because in Orangeburg, of course, we got connection to the people organizing Juneteenth there.
Okay.
And we just had a Juneteenth committee from New Bern, North Carolina, that came to our festival for us.
I know
with us. And what they do is they organize like a whole 2 weeks, a whole 3 weeks. They don't just organize one day. They do things all throughout a few week period. And then we can do something like that in the Midland region. Where we go to Aiken, during a certain time. We go to what do you call it? Swaze, certain time. We go down to Orangeburg. We go different places throughout the month to commemorate and focus a lot on that particular period of Reconstruction. That's the most empowerment period in South Carolina history, is when our ancestors came they came raging off those plantations. Right. And that 15-year history, oh man, it's so many gems there. There's so much that we need to go back and reclaim. But Juneteenth gives us an opportunity to put all of that on display. Gives us an opportunity to say it for ourselves and do it for ourselves.
That's right.
You said something very important too. You're right. Our ancestors in this particular region, and I know it's happening all over because I see people in the Mississippi Delta doing the same awakening, going back home. But for us, it's like you said, there's an emergence of certain musical figures. We got 803 Fresh. He killing the game right now, right? You got certain actors who come from St. Matthews. That's right. That's at the top right now in terms of being paid as actors, the Woman King, and all these other things, right? So that's right. South Carolina has always been a hub. That's right. It's always been a place that most of us should be able to trace at least one route back to.
That's right. That's right. I just saw a clip the other day. My wife sent it to me about Michael B. Jordan. He's a Babaloa.
Yes.
And it was, I think it was a Christian network that was putting this reel out there. But when they asked him about his middle name, he said, "Well, my middle name is Bakari," and he said, "I'm a Babaloa." And so I was like, that says everything why he does what he does in the way that he does, and even some of the obstacles that he's had to go through because people know about his background. Yeah. And so, I thought it was just refreshing. That also helps me to understand what the movie Sinners as well that he was in, and what that meant to him as well. Absolutely. And so, but I there are just so many different truths that are coming out right now that you just can't get away from. And as our people can start to learn more about themselves, as they start to learn about the people that they surround themselves with, you're not going to be able to turn away from your ancestry. You're not, because the spirit won't allow it to happen. You can't stay being a shrub when you're designed to be a tree. You can't stay being a chicken when you're supposed to be an eagle, because it's not going to allow you to do so. Sooner or later, the spirit is going to hit you so hard that you're gonna be forced to deal with that depression and the oppression and that slave mentality inside yourself, so that you can release yourself from that bondage. Our job is to make sure that we have the place for you to come to in order for you to learn that. That is why the House of Hathor exists. You got to have a place where you can come, because we get a lot of people in here that are dealing with trauma, dealing with a lot of different issues, mental issues. We don't try, and we're not trying to feed them. We're not, it's not, as a matter of fact, my wife dealt with something yesterday to where, we had a customer come in. They wanted us to do some work for them, and we don't do no work for people. We teach you how to do the work for yourself.
Yeah.
But only when you're ready will we do that. So we're not going to just sell you a product and say, you do this right here and you're going to get what you want. No, you got to do some work inside yourself first. And when you come back to us after we see that you've done some work, then we'll talk about the tools that you can use that's going to help you to manifest and generate. But only when you've done that work within yourself first. So we're not in the business of just supplying you with tools and you go out here and you harm somebody or you harm yourself.
Exactly.
You got to do some self-reflection within yourself first. Once you do your own self-reflection and we attach ourselves to your spirit to know that you've done that work, now we can sit down and we can talk about what tools you can use that you can gain more strength to live the life that you've been designed to live.
I say it makes sense. It makes sense. You're able to give them some principles and values.
Yes,
give
that's
them some
first.
instruction.
Yes,
before you arm them with the power, because
that's right.
You have to be responsible. It's like guns.
That's right.
Put a gun in a child's hand.
There you go.
It's the same. It's the same way. We have a sisterhood called Keepers of the Culture. That's a part of our community.
Okay.
Gullah Nation. And they're based in Orangeburg, and they're the facilitators of our spiritual ritual. Like when we get together, we do our libations. Even if I need a little help, I might go to them, man.
Yes.
Because they're actually into the art of assisting. They're in the root work. They're into hoodoo and Ifa, different schools.
That's right.
And what I appreciate about the Keepers of the Culture is that they're definitely rooted in the principles and the values. It's not just a practice, like you said. It's a lifestyle. It's something that they live in and providing to the people. So even that, I would like to be able to find a time where we could connect the dots spiritually between the communities.
Yes. No, that'll be beautiful, and I look forward to that. I look forward to that time. I look forward to that.
That's very powerful, man. It's very powerful, gentlemen. I gotta run and take
last words.
Yeah, I got the GO too, man.
I gotta run and take care of that.
No problem. I appreciate the opportunity.
Yeah, I gotta spend some holiday time with the wife and everything. And we do need to continue this conversation and everything, man. But this has been a very powerful episode, man. And I want to thank you. I want to thank you for
I appreciate y'all asking me to come on board.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yes.
Yeah.
All right. So we'll be in touch for sure.
Okay.
Juneteenth.
Yes.
We'll be in the building. We probably gonna have a few people up there with you, man. Because if chemo go, a few people gonna go.
No, that sounds good. Sounds great.
Yeah, man. Again, for the people out there who watch it, who commemorate it, happy Mother's Day again to all the mothers, all the great mothers.
Happy Mother's Day to all. Happy every day is Mother's Day.
Every day.
Right.
This should be a day to recognize that every day is Mother's Day, right?
Every day.
Yeah, man. Say that. Say that, cuz. Every day. All right, y'all. Hey, y'all be easy.
Y'all do the same.
It's been a great one.
Yeah.
Love y'all.
Love y'all.
You guys soon.
Peace and peace.
Are we still live?
Jag minns ju den tid du gav mig life Billa, yo. Nu vill jag kunna ge tillbaka allt jag inte kunna ge förut. Det finns ingen annan där som kan stå här by my side, oh why. Sättet du rör på det får mig att dö för det baby. För de här